And you, and take it away, Ralph. No, actually, let me introduce us. Hey,
Yes.
everybody. My name is Brenda Bailey. I am a ThetaHealing master and instructor, and my partner, Ralph Macintyre, is a evolutionary astrologer and amazing astrocartographer. That's actually how we met. And I'll be putting up like how to contact him uh, a little bit later, but I'm going to let you be dazzled by his brilliance. So take it away. Take it away, Ralph.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And I have some really good news tonight, and I have some really interesting news. The first thing I kind of wanted to start out with is I've been working on this concept, which I call empathic weather report. So one of the things that I have been noticing for the last couple of days with this fire going on in France, that the angst, the sadness collectively in the world is just been amped
So you are
way
really garbling. You're super garbling.
so if you've been feeling kind of like what has just happened, and have internet issues tonight?
Yeah. So can you just repeat what you just said because it completely garbled?
All right. Give me 1 second.
Thanks, everybody.
Is that any better? Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Hey, Brenda.
Yes.
So my back clear? Because I have another internet option. Can you talk for like a few minutes, and I will switch internet options?
I'm killing time for us. Perfect.
Well, you're dazzling with us.
Yeah, now you want to throw it back on me. I'm dazzling with brilliance. So everybody, like Ralph said, he's in the desert in California, and I think he's in the middle of nowhere. I'm just going to say that. So so apparently, I don't know what's going on, but we're just having a few internet issues, and it's all good. So he's going to be talking about the full moon. I had to look and see what the date was. And I know we've been posting a few things in our Facebook group, just to let y'all know about what you may be expecting him to tell. But how the format is here is that once we get his internet up and running, is he's going to be telling you all about what's going on with the full moon and how it will be affecting you. And then I take from what he says and we do a little theta healing work. So while we're waiting for him, let me go ahead and just tell you a little bit about theta healing. People can tell me how they think and how they feel, but what you create in your life is what you believe, and you hold it on a cellular level. So what theta healing does is it actually clears your beliefs, your traumas, and even forgiveness at a cellular level. And so when you do that, like your thoughts and your emotions just follow. Now, we always say with theta healing that you have to do your belief work as well as your emotional work. So there is still some work for people to do, but it makes it a whole lot easier because it actually, we're dealing with the present. And of course, when we are clearing beliefs at a cellular level, we're doing ones that we get from this lifetime, from previous lifetimes. If you believe in that, if you don't, it's okay. And then also from what we carry around in our soul, and we also inherit beliefs. So I always make sure whenever I work with a new client or student, because I also teach this modality, that I make sure that they have 3 beliefs in place. And those are, I want an instant healing, I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible. So what's really important is that anytime I ask, would you like to change that, or can we change these, you actually need to say yes out loud. Okay?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. And Ralph likes to say it 3 times. It's all perfect. So we're going to change these 3, and I will say them again, and you can just say yes after each statement. I want an instant healing. I deserve an instant healing, and an instant healing is possible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect. So now do I get to send it back to you? Because now we're just set up that we'll be able to do theta healing work once it comes back to me. But now I think
Yeah.
we can hear
So,
from Ralph now.
so I'm hoping, am I sounding any better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So, unfortunately, for some reason, my phone tethering didn't want to show up. So I'm on my same old internet. If it's an issue, I will lose the video and hopefully the audio will stay
You sound so
focused.
much better. It's like night and
Oh,
day. So
okay,
we're
good,
good.
good, good. Um, so one of the things that I noticed in the last couple of days, I've been working on this concept for a while, which I call empathic weather report. And so the last couple of days with the fire in France, I've been noticing that the collective angst and just kind of energy has been super intense. And so some of us that are more tuned in or more sensitive to that might be like, what's going on? Why am I having such an issue? Or why is there like this pit in my stomach and all this stuff? So just to kind of let all of those folks know that, you know, very likely it may have more to do with what the collective's doing than what's going on in your life. All right, so the moon. Let me close out all these screens that I opened up trying to figure out my internet. So the moon and the sun. Once again, we're dealing with Aries Libra, the relationship axis of self and others. So just kind of astrology 101. Aries is ruled by Mars. Libra is ruled by Venus. And so to kind of help us understand deeper what these planets are asking, we look to the rulers. So Mars is in Gemini of the possibilities. I talked a little bit about this last time. And Venus is sitting there in Libra, which is that relationship, what we're attracted to, what we see as beautiful. And Venus is sitting in Pisces. And I'm going to spend a fair amount of time talking about Pisces because there's a couple other transits that are happening and there's some things that are going to kind of unfold this summer that are going to be very much front and center for most of us, especially if you're kind of tuned into the energies of the planets. And so Pisces is this world of everything that is possible. Pisces, it's like, you know, one of the ways I like to describe about Pisces, it's like, so what is God capable of? What is the goddess capable of? What is spirit capable of? What, you know, it's like on some levels, there's very few things on the planet that has as many names and descriptions as God. I mean, just to say God, it's like, well, is that the word you like? And it's kind of this representation of everything that's possible. And there's a couple cliches that I like. You know, it's like if God wanted to make you crazy, he'd grant all your wishes. Meaning if we actually truly knew what we were capable of, we would probably all die instantaneous of just heart aneurysms. Our brains would explode. It's our little pea human brains aren't quite ready for everything. And so astrologically, interestingly enough, the planet Neptune represents Pisces, represents this all that's possible. The planet Jupiter sits in Sagittarius, and Jupiter represents how we take Pisces and bring it into the world. It is kind of the planet that allows us to take all this possibility and actually ground it into the world as in what we know, what we're capable of. And right now, Jupiter is retrograde. And so I'm really not a big retrograde fan. It's not that I'm not a fan of retrograde. It's just that certain things in astrology that they kind of get blown way out of proportion. And Mercury retrograde and retrograde in general, in my opinion, tends to get way more energy. It's like everyone gives up all their power when Mercury goes retrograde. Oh, I'm powerless. It's all Mercury. And I think that there's a little wisdom in there that gets blown up into a lot of hype. But with retrograde planets, one of the things about retrograde, it's an internal process. It's kind of looking within. It's like a lot of times the planets will happen more in the external world, but when they're retrograde, the emphasis is on looking in. And so Jupiter, one of the ways to describe Jupiter is how are we holding ourselves back? How are we not living up to our possibilities? And Jupiter, a lot of people like to use Jupiter as where you're lucky. And it's like, yeah, Jupiter's lucky, but Jupiter's also like how you're not living up to your potentials. And it's not meant as a like, oh, you better get with it and live up to your potentials. It's like from the Piscean world, we're all not even like barely scratching the surface of what's potential. And Jupiter allows us to kind of bring that all into play. And so one of the big things about, and I like the way Brenda says it about, I don't care about what you say you believe. It's like what you manifest in your life. She says it way more poetic and succinct than I am doing right now. But there's a way in which this is Jupiter in action. It's like we manifest from the Piscean world what we believe. If we can't actually believe it, we can't actually see it. And so when Jupiter sitting in Sagittarius, which is the sign of beliefs, squaring Neptune, so both Jupiter and Neptune are sitting in the signs that they naturally affiliate with. Pisces is for Neptune and Sagittarius for Jupiter. So that makes the planets really big and strong. It's kind of like they're hanging out where they're comfortable. The sign and the planet work well together. So, and they're also, interestingly enough, square to each other, which means there's tension, which means what's possible in the Piscean world is always under tension of what is possible in our little brain, what we believe. And the more we integrate the two, the more we're capable of. So right now, we just entered into Jupiter retrograde. And Jupiter's going to be retrograde for several months now. And it's, in my opinion, it's really asking us to really step back and look at where we're holding ourselves back. Let me just look at my notes here real quick. So one of the things that I like to say about this particular subject, this whole Pisces, Jupiter, Neptune, Sagittarius, is another kind of quote that I heard this week that I really liked, and it was, "We're under the illusion that we make things happen. God makes things happen, and we're just her tools." And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, it just like really kind of made me think back. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, am I manifesting this, or am I working through the collective energy to manifest this? And I mean, we could get into a long philosophical conversation on what's 100% correct or what's more truthful or not. But I think for tonight, what I really want to kind of focus on is, it's like, how are we holding ourselves back? What are we not allowing ourselves to have? What in our subconscious is keeping us there? And so, interestingly enough, this whole retrograde period that we're getting ready to go into, which is going to last. So I think you probably, if you've listened to the other talks, you've remembered me talk about the big transits in the sky of Pluto, Saturn, and the south node of the moon. And Saturn represents our structures, Pluto represents our subconscious, and the south node of the moon represents our karma. And so coming up here on the 25th of April.
Hey, Ralph, can you say that again? What you just said?
I will try.
Okay.
So Saturn represents our structures. Pluto represents our subconscious. And the south node of the moon represents our karma.
Okay. I think everybody needs to hear that again. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And so, interestingly enough, right now in the sky, the three of those planets are really close together. Saturn just came into a very tight conjunction with the south node of the moon, and Pluto is kind of started to move away from the south node of the moon. But on the 25th of April, Pluto turns retrograde. On the 30th of April, Saturn turns retrograde. So we're going to have Pluto, Saturn, and the south node of the moon is always retrograde. So it's like on some levels, from an astrological perspective, especially when you're talking with Pluto and Saturn transits, it's kind of like, oh, it's coming, it's there, and it's moving away. Oh, thank the Lord Jesus, it's moving away. You know, and Pluto transits tend to be that way too, where it starts to build and the tension starts to build. It gets exact, and then it starts to move away, and it's like, oh, I can start to breathe, integrate all this transformation that Pluto brought in. Well, I would love to say that's what's about to happen, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. So, interestingly enough, Pluto, Saturn, and the south node of the moon are going to be in retrograde, staying close together for, I want to say, until September. I think Pluto comes out, or I looked at the dates, but I'm kind of out of that part of my brain now. It was direct. I'm getting a note that my internet connection is unstable. Am I still good?
You were fine. You garbled for just a second, but we could still understand you. So you're good. It was after the fact.
Okay. Awesome. So interesting. I didn't hear anything you said. So if I'm still good, Brenda, can you just give me the thumbs up? Awesome. So if I start to go garble and I don't hear you, just start waving at me and I'll kind of watch. So we have these three powerful entities, Pluto, Saturn, and the south node of the moon, traveling together retrograde at the same time that Jupiter is retrograde, in tension to Neptune and Pisces. So I'm probably going to do a couple videos on this particular subject because it's very vast and I could spend hours talking about it. But to kind of start with, I just want to talk about, so Saturn, it's like, what are we working towards? Why are we working towards it? And what is holding us really back? You know, and so much of this is subconscious wounds and karmic wounds. And so one of the things that's really powerful this summer, it's going to be a very powerful time. You know, interestingly, I want to say to get a lot of sessions with Brenda. And it's not so much get sessions with Brenda. It's going to be a great time to actually do some powerful house cleaning, so to speak. You know, because Saturn sits in Capricorn, where natally that's the house or the sign that it's affiliated with. Jupiter is in Sagittarius, the sign that's affiliated in. Neptune in Pisces, the sign that's affiliated. And so it's like these three very powerful planets are sitting in the signs that they're even more powerful. And they're also, except for Neptune, are going retrograde. And
that's
Pluto,
until when? That's until when, Ralph? Until July, you said?
So September.
September. Okay.
Yeah, and
long time.
So interestingly, yeah. Well, this is going to be a very powerful, and it's really kind of one of the things I love about astrology is it's so often you'll see things in astrology are just like, duh, oh, that makes so much sense, and it kind of validates it all. And so interestingly enough, so this Pluto, south node of the moon, and Saturn sit in Capricorn. Capricorn naturally squares Aries. So the sun is in Aries, naturally squaring this. So these go retrograde for 6 months, all the way until the sun is in Libra, squaring the nodes. So there's a way in which that brings in that personal assertion, Aries, and that Libra relationship. And so I don't know about you guys, but one of the things that I've been doing a lot of personal work on is recovering my ability to assert myself and relating to other humans or monkeys sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling about people in the moment. And so there's a way in which this whole Pluto Saturn retrograde period is bookmarked by the sun in Aries and then the sun in Libra. And I don't think that's a quinky dink. I think that's very powerful symbolism there. So, you know, it's a good time to really, and this is, when I say it's a good time, we're talking the next 6 months. So back, where are you not asserting yourself? How are you valuing getting along in relationships and self-harming yourself? Or how are you asserting yourself and then harming yourself in relationship? You know, it's like this concept of balance, which to me is this traveling from one side to the other fast enough to where you spend a little time in the center. So it's like the Aries Libra axis wants us to kind of find the balance of self-assertion and getting along with others. And I don't know about you, but that's a lot easier said than done, at least for me. And so right now, this particular full moon is kind of kicking this all off. It's going to be a super powerful time to kind of look inward, kind of also because we have the multiple cycles. Remember, this is like a large, you know, thousands of years cycle, but we also have the monthly cycle, the moon cycle. We also have the yearly cycle because we're in Aries, which is kind of the plant, you know, start, initiate time of the year. You know, it's also kind of the birds and the bees. You know, it's springtime. People start, you know, wearing less clothes, which then, you know, the whole attractiveness and the sexuality starts to kind of bubble in, which is kind of, you know, brings in more energy. And then, you know, we start this yearly cycle again with this Aries. And so part of this yearly cycle, you know, it's like, what are you going to uncover? What are you going to let go of? Where are you holding yourself back? Where do you want to stop holding yourself back? And then that comes back to, you know, book a lot of sessions with Brenda. And I don't mean you have to book sessions with Brenda, but it's that kind of the theta healing, the inner, you know, work, to just kind of let go. I mean, it's like I'm aware of theta healing, and Brenda will probably laugh at this. I don't let go very well. And so there's like, she's like, well, you don't need to hold on to that. And I'm like, but I want to.
Yeah, we have a saying in Texas. It's called shit stinks, but it's warm. So yeah, we know that deal.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're all being asked to kind of really step into it, step up, really kind of what do we want to actually make happen, and I think a part of a lot of the angst, the kind of collective freak out is because people are spending more time kind of poking at what they don't like rather than focusing on what they want to manifest, what they want to create, and Aries wants us to step in, jump in, get something done, take something on. Don't think about it too much. Jump, and the moon sits there in Libra, wanting us to kind of, have that balance between taking care of others and taking care of self. What is the emotional cost that we're, of not really achieving your potential? So has anyone got any questions on this, or should I kind of move it back towards Brenda?
Well, we can do a little work now. If y'all have questions, we can come back to them. Okay, guys? So feel free. Ralph loves questions. So just so y'all know. It's really kind of interesting. I often find that when I teach classes or when I start a new project like a webinar series, it's so interesting what you're talking about and some of the things that we have covered like in the last week or two in the Believe and Grow Abundant webinars. And see, I don't know any of this, right? Because I'm not an astrologer. Quite frankly, I have no idea what Ralph says before we get together. We have this great relationship. We completely trust each other and we both just show up, right? So it's so interesting to go, oh, I don't know. I know that there are several people on the webinar that actually do the Believe and Grow Abundant. And I'm wondering if y'all are going, yeah, check chat, check chat, check chat. So for those of you who aren't, right, I want to look at, well, one, I want to remove the free-floating memories. Okay, so let me back up for people who aren't familiar with theta healing. So we just did the 3 basic beliefs, and there's a lot of work that I do that has to do with trauma. It's one of the best modalities for instantaneous, complete trauma resolution. So what I really like to do is to remove the free-floating memories. This is what we do in theta healing from the original event that the result was. So, Ralph gives us a lot of information and we can like search our minds. I mean, that's for traditional psychotherapy, on when that would have possibly caused us to happen, but we don't really need to know when. We just need to know what it is that we want to clear. So we call those free-floating memories are a result of a trauma. And when we remove the free-floating memories, it actually neutralizes it. So that's what I like to do in these group settings. So I want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from connecting to whoever our God is.
Yes,
so we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that the result is that we're not connected with whoever we feel like is our God. Right? So, like Ralph said, whoever you call your God, what your belief is and your higher power. And then, so we're also going to download with how it serves you to do that it's possible and that it's safe. Okay. We also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we are obligated to hold ourselves back, right? So something's happened somewhere in a past life and with our family and we've inherited it, or in our life now presently, that just prevents us from moving forward. We're obligated to hold ourselves back. It's probably like some type of protection thing, but it doesn't really matter why. Why ask why? We're just going to shift it. We're going to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us to be ready for everything that is our God-given right to own, to have, to experience. And I want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents our P brain, as Ralph says. I was like, what? That prevents our brain from grasping all that is possible, all that we deserve, all that we're entitled to. I don't really like that word, but all that we're entitled to, all that that is just ours because we exist, because we're here. And I also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from not living up to our potential. Let's see, what else? I want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we're obligated to have tension with Pisces. And let's see here. And then we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that the result is that we pretend to not know what we know. So when we look at those questions like what Ralph talks about, what are you not allowing yourself? Sometimes we're just like, oh, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, let's stop pretending. We don't do it on purpose, but let's go ahead and remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we have to pretend to know, to not know. And then we want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that the result is that we're obligated to have we're obligated to be affected negatively by planets in retrograde. Let's see. And then let's remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from moving forward towards what we want. And remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from having balance in relationships, that prevents us from asserting ourselves. And we also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that prevents us from taking care of ourselves. And then I also want to remove the free-floating memories from the original event that we're obligated to live in the extremes. So from one extreme to the other, instead of, that will always prevent you from having balance. So we remove the free-floating memories from the original events that all of these were the result of. We'll also get like how it serves us to either do it or do it differently, whatever's appropriate for us. And then what it feels like, right? So we could shorten that learning curve. And then also that it's possible and that it's safe. So if you would like everything that I've just listed, all you have to do is say yes out loud.
Yes, yes, yes.
Perfect. Oh, we can see you now, Ralph. Right.
The sun's going down.
Ralph, is there anything that you think I skipped, missed?
No, I think you were pretty complete.
Or that I can't read my writing, but anyways.
Yeah, I feel like you're pretty complete. I realized that I wanted to spend just a moment talking about So all these transits happen in your chart somewhere, and they're all different for everyone. So Ronnie was talking about how this transit right now, this full moon, is happening on the sun. The sun's the main energy of your chart. The sun is kind of the engine that drives your life. And so not only is this full moon transiting on your sun, which very likely would kind of energize you, but this whole Pluto-Uranus, or excuse me, the Pluto-Saturn South Node is also interacting from the square, which is tension, which is kind of really, so a lot of what I talked about, this is a powerful time for you, Ronnie, to really dive into what we're talking about. And I would imagine that you're probably aware of that, especially when Pluto and Saturn are interacting with your sun. It's very hard to miss. And then something else, now I'm thinking about it, that you know the old saying, there's many roads to Rome. So astrologers, we have this nice, very picturesque thing that says, oh, let me point at this. This is why it's happening. Most people know what's happening. They just don't know how to put words to it. So don't give your power away to an astrologer. Take your own inner knowing. Don't let an astrologer invalidate that. It's like your own inner knowing is really the truth that is the supreme truth. Because from an astrologer's perspective, I have my own stuff, my own projection, and then there's so many different ways in which these transits can manifest. And the only right way is the way it manifests for you. You know, so it's like, if it's not manifesting, so to speak, the way I talk about it, that means I just didn't talk about what's right for you. So this is a super powerful time for a lot of people, and whether they ever hear it from an astrologer or whether they hear it from however, you know, it could be all sorts of different ways, you know. It could be just plain and simple, you know, I'm a Catholic, a big church that's burnt down, and having feelings, you know. It doesn't matter how the information comes, especially when it comes from inside. So I just want to validate Brenda's intuition and all of your intuitions all at the same time.
Thanks, Ralph.
Back to you.
All right. So does anybody have any questions? Because we're kind of, we zoomed through this. We're on Zoom. We zoomed through this, Ralph. So, and yeah. I'm talking to the people who are on the webinars. And it doesn't even really have to be about the moon. If you want to ask Ralph anything, I mean, he's here. Take advantage of it. So, but in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and pull up so you could just get our information here like I promised. So let me go ahead and remind y'all that the next, am I right here? So our next full moon gathering will be Wednesday, May 15th. If you have received the email from us, just full disclosure, we had so many people that had signed up and had been participating in our webinars, and they just had to renew it like every month. That was also one of the big deals with people it being on a different day every month, is that everybody was having to re-register, and I know people were getting tired of it. So that's why we just also decided to do recurring. So just so you know, if you've already received an email about the full moon, which is why you're here, you're all good. And if you did, if you just miraculously got an email talking about it, that means that I did it for you. And so I just will let you know that I put you in both. And you can cancel it at any time, right? I mean, I just wanted to make it easier for people because I know that we just had some people that were really diehards and registered every month. And so I just thought, you know what, we find out who's been on our webinars, and I just wanted to make it easier. It looks like everybody wanted to stick with us, Ralph, so it's all good. So the next gathering that we will have is for the new moon, and that's going to be Wednesday, May 1st. Again, there to register for those of you who didn't have the luxury of having been with us in the past or did it yourself. Take a picture of this screen. I will also be posting it in our group, so you can always join our group. This is how you get in touch with Ralph, right? His website is www.astro-map-links.com. And I'll tell you this, I have the offer still up. I hope that's okay, Ralph.
Yes.
His offer to our group is to get 50% off of his complete world map. So this is done, like you give him your birth date, and this is your astrocartography map for you, done in a 3D effect. It is the coolest thing. 50% off means it's only $25. So again, take a picture of this screen if you want to do that, because it's so interesting and it's really cool. And because I promise you, if you've ever had an astrocartography reading, it's just a piece of paper, right? But with Ralph's, it's really cool. You can play with it. It's a lot of fun. So if you want to know more about me, right? My website, full disclosure, is being rebuilt right now. And it's taking a lot of time because of some files. Not that y'all need to know this. So I do have a listing where you can find out more about me. That is the link there to just be able to get to that if you want to know more about me, how to get in touch with me. Also, if you want to know more about Theta Healing, I have a short YouTube video that will explain it to you. And so this is the link for that. Again, click, take a picture if you'd like. And if you are in our Moon Gatherings group, I will have that there. Also, if you like the belief work, right? I do downloads on a couple of days a week. I do a download. And you have to say yes in the comments. So, and that's kind of fun for people. Again, not inundated with a lot of posts, but little belief work, little download for free. So all you have to do is just go on this website, joinblastyyourbeliefs.com. So again, all of our information, all of these links, everything that we have, when you join the webinar, those will be emailed to you, as well as a link to the recording of this video. So if you want to listen to it again, we also post it on YouTube, and we also post it in this group from YouTube. So if you want to join our group, you're not a part of it, join moongatherings.com. And let's see, guess what, Ralph? We have something in the chat here. Hold on.
Yeah, Julie, thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
You're very welcome. Yeah. And then let's see, Ronnie here. I've noticed some events, and you're right about not putting it into words. I can say that my chart is a reflection of my life. Go figure. And I just felt a vibration from the moon before this gathering. Great validation. So is there anything else? Wait, hold on. Another message. You're welcome, Ronnie. You're very welcome. So speak now or forever hold your peace, at least for the next 2 weeks. We really, really appreciate y'all joining us. If you know somebody that might be interested in this, again, it's just information, right? And which I feel is power. And then if we can shift some things, who'd have thought, like, we're going to have such a powerful summer. Right, Ralph? With everything that you're saying.
Yeah, super powerful.
So stay tuned.
Transformational.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you know, I think this just started like in January, and then I just had, you know, really in February is when Ralph and I started doing it together. And I really just feel like there's just been so much that's so important for people to know, so that either we could shift it so that it can be a better understanding and situation for you, or just even just having some knowledge as to what's going on. So once again, we get to see y'all every 2 weeks when you put us in your schedule, and we just super appreciate it. And come with your questions. We're always happy to answer. So thank you again for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Good night, everyone.